Hello there, eggheads to be. Are you looking for stocks to help you get some extra monthly income? Or perhaps just looking for ideas on which stocks you could invest in? Well, this is the video for you. We're going to see the list of dividend stocks that pay out almost $1,000 monthly. This is a friendly reminder that the channel is only for informational purposes and that we are not in any way financial advisors. First thing to know before we go further is to understand why companies pay dividends. There are a few options that a company can take when it earns money. One is through reinvesting. Two is through sharing buybacks. And three, paying in dividends. When reinvesting, the company can put the money into use by making new product lines or funding their research and development team. Like, let's say, Apple, who has made a lot of money, will pool that towards making the next iPhone, iPad, or Mac, and these reinvestments bring the money back into developing their business, which doesn't pay the shareholders. The next one, where they can opt to share buybacks, means the shareholders can own more of the company because the amount of total shares is reduced. And lastly, the one where we gain money is when the company pays out cash or dividends, often quarterly, to the people who invested in them. Dividends are a good way to make some income in the stock market, but this requires the investor to know the company and that the dividend yields are sustainable. Something like 15 or 20% sounds too good to be true, and it often is. These are typical dividend traps, and you need to recognize these before you fall into their schemes. So before we go through our list, make sure that you've clicked the like button. Hit subscribe and comment down below your experience with dividend traps. Have you ever fallen victim to one of them? Tell us more down below. The first on our list is JP Morgan Chase. This dividend stock is basically the largest bank in the US, and they pay out 2.5% to 2.6% dividend yield, which gets you about $4 in yearly dividends with every share that you have of the company. You might think that their dividend yield is quite underwhelming, but let me tell you, it's actually one of the good dividend stocks you can find in the market right now. JP Morgan is a stable financial institution in the US, and they were able to securely manage their balance sheets during the financial crisis back in 2008. If you had 100 shares in the company with $4 per share, then you have $400 in yearly dividends. It scales up with how much shares you have. So if you had 1,000 shares, then that's $4,000 per year. With 10,000 shares, it reaches up to $40,000. So you can see how much you get the more shares you own. The next one we'd like to talk about is Air Products. The annual pay here is about $6 per share in dividend payments. So the dividend yield comes to about 2.5%, like that of JP Morgan. This company is based in Pennsylvania, and although it is kind of boring since it doesn't have consumer-forward business, it has its strength in the manufacturing industry. They dabble with supplying certain types of gases, like hydrogen and helium, and have a strong hold over the market. They've been pretty resilient throughout the years, and being in the industrial manufacturing field, they are quite well hedged, pulling in billions and showing great profit margins. With their dividend yield, 100 shares of Air Products will bring you to almost $650 yearly. Another one to put in your portfolio is PepsiCo. You might be familiar with this and their direct competitor, Coca-Cola, so we don't have to dig further into what the company does. In terms of their dividends, they pay 4.3% yearly, and in quarterly dividends, it's similar to JP Morgan and Air Products. PepsiCo has a strong pricing power, and they can definitely raise the prices of their products without affecting much of the consumers, and also considering that they have a very strong foothold in the beverage industry. Most of the drinks you buy at the grocery would likely be under Pepsi or Coca-Cola. And so alternatively, you could also have Coca-Cola on your portfolio since it's also a safe bet and it pays a similar dividend. Next up, we have PPL, which is an electric company in Pennsylvania, and they're paying $1.66 in dividends for each share of stock, and thus having 5.6 to 5.7% yield as annual dividends. Their dividend yield has been pretty stable throughout the years, and although the economic downturn could reduce this, you know that their past 10 years of track record will still speak highly of their performance. It's under the utility industry, and it has a higher yield than the others we've talked about so far. But with that comes risks that you'd have to consider, like energy prices and the grid and whatnot. But before we proceed with the next few things in our list, don't forget to click the like button if you've been having fun learning so far, and if you want to tag along with us in our journey to make you a fully fledged finance egghead, then hit the subscribe button. Also, comment down below what you think about the companies we've listed so far. Do you think they're worth investing in? Okay, so moving on, we have waste management. Investing here gives you a yearly $2.6 per share. The dividend yield isn't extremely high, but the security you get from this industry makes it a safe bet to invest in. With a slower economic growth, there are some issues that could potentially arise in the market, but one thing people will always have to use is waste management. People will always have to pay for their trash collection and recycling to be taken care of. Waste management has a pretty solid foundation here, and although they have some regional competitors to look out for, they're quite stable in the American industry. They've also been working on some new products in their R&D sector, like taking a chance in biofuels, which is why they're a little low in paying dividends, but the overall profit margins throughout the years is outstanding. They used to be at around $30 a share, and now they've boomed to about $100 each. And then there's ExxonMobil. It's recommended to have a company or something of the sort in the energy sector in your portfolio. And yeah, it's a little conflicting since they're not known to be the best environmentally speaking and also being a dying industry. But it's a nice hedge to have on your portfolio to keep it well-rounded. ExxonMobil pays about 4% in dividend yield, getting $3.52 per share annually. So it's a good bet financially. There are other alternatives you could have in the energy sector, like perhaps Shell, BP, or Chevron, but ExxonMobil was the best in income generation, and it's a good hedge in your portfolio. And last, and the most interesting, is Union Pacific. It's a railroad company. You'd probably think, what? Why? Yeah, well, they don't make railroads in the US anymore, and it's not a new industry with a lot of possibilities. They're even closing some railroad paths, but it's still actually a profitable business. Shipping via large trucks and 18-wheelers is more expensive compared to using the railroad. They pay $4.72 per share annually, so it's about 1.95% dividend yield. Their balance sheets speak a lot about the money they're raking in, and it's because of the shipping activities of countries like China and India that import goods that use the railroads. We're still going to be using the railroads a lot in the foreseeable future, so Union Pacific will surely give you great dividends. Alright, that's all we have for you aspiring eggheads. Remember to diversify your portfolio and don't put all your eggs in one basket so you won't suffer as much if the whole industry crashes. Make sure to learn about the company you're going to invest in because there are a lot of nuances to consider. Remember that this is not an official finance advice and it's all informational. And that's the end of the video. We hope you learned something from our video today. And if you found it useful, please subscribe, click the like button, and hit that notification bell to get alerted about our upcoming videos so you can always stay informed. See you in our other videos, learning eggheads.